All right, we got a good one, guys. If the tariffs go through, Wedbush's Ives says that the tariffs are going to take U.S. tech back a decade. Let's have a look.
You're an analyst. What do you do?
I mean, look, 25 years covering tech and markets. It's probably the most absurd 36 hours that I've ever seen, because my view is that this is an economic Armageddon if these tariffs come through. And I think from a tech perspective, in terms of probably like one of the biggest assets we have in this country, it would take us back potentially a decade, and it would steamroll China ahead. And that's why our whole point right here, even if you got a deal in a month or two, you're already looking at 5 to 10% earnings cuts across the board in tech just to start. And I think that's really the worry right now as a tech investor.
Apple, American icon. And for that reason,
5 to 10% earnings cuts, that's quite a bit there. If you haven't caught that, that's incredible.
Nobody believes this is going to happen. They're looking for exemptions. They report in a month at the very start of May. How do they offer any guidance at all?
Oh, I mean, we've said we don't believe Apple, or actually basically any other tech company, gives guidance, because you're essentially blindfolded playing darts, giving guidance. And it comes down to, like, if you wanted to implode Apple and you wanted to actually try to figure out the formula to actually make this company, what I really view, it could take them back years. It's this tariff, because it comes down to a 54% from China. It would take 3 years and $20 billion to take even 10% of the supply chain to the U.S. If you want $3,500 iPhones, we should build them in New Jersey. We should build them in Texas. If you like $1,000 iPhones, you build them in China.
Did you hear what he just said? If you want $3,000 iPhones, you build them here in America. You want $1,000, you build them in China. You want a $3,000 iPhone? No, of course not.
And I think that fundamentally is really the issue here in terms of the near-term pain would be 5, 7, 8. It would change Apple as a company.
Which is the reason why a lot of people don't believe that this is actually going to come through. Even if there is some kind of negotiation, how much damage do you think is being done just simply through the uncertainty?
You're burning the house down, but then you still have a toaster oven and the bagels ready. The point is, like, the damage that's being done here. I mean, I've talked to so many tech executives over the last 48 hours, and they don't know. And the worry is the uncertainty, the inventory. What does this mean? You talk about, all the conversations we've had over the years, AI revolution, in my opinion, fourth industrial revolution, where we are in tech, overall markets. And this essentially, it's imploding it, self-inflicted. And I think that's really the befuddling thing for investors in terms of where we sit here and what the next steps are.
Yesterday, the Magnificent Seven lost more than $1 trillion in market valuation. It's the first time that's ever happened in one day for these stocks. Down 24% from the December peak. Do you think that there is potentially, as a bull,
down 20-something percent, 24%. Down from the peak, so that for the Mag 7 is definitely recession. And now today, the Nasdaq is in a bear market, 20%, right?
Perennial bull in the U.S. tech sector. Do you think there's actually more downside ahead simply because this uncertainty isn't going to go away?
I mean, look, this uncertainty in itself, it's already taken numbers down, and then it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. Now, in terms of the long term, Mag 7, our view of tech, of course, that continues to be very bullish over the long term. But right now, I mean, we are sitting on the precipice of an economic Armageddon. It doesn't matter what you say in the Beltway, in front of microphones, and the reality is talk to executives, see what's actually happening. And I think that right now is what tech stocks are reflecting. Investors, they're not Republican or Democrat. They're speaking in terms of what stocks are telling you. And this is.
So, yeah, stocks, investors like us, we're money. We vote for the money, not vote for the Democrats, Republican. That's what he's saying when he says we're not Democrat or Republican, I guess. What do you think? Leave a comment.
We are in the midst of just a massive, what I believe is an economic Armageddon if this continues.
3 times.
So Dan, Apple, you've got an outperform. Tesla, you've got an outperform. Microsoft, you've got an outperform. You also cover GM, you've got an outperform. When are you going to revise these calls?
Look, it comes down to if the tariffs stick and they continue for the weeks, months ahead, then we have to change our whole outlook.
Can you help me understand that just a little bit more?
Yeah.
So these are the dates.
Sure.
So April 5th, tomorrow, baseline tariffs 10% kick in. April 9th, next week, the additional tariffs kick in. How long do you wait?
So let's walk through, and this is what I've been telling investors around the globe the last 48 hours. Okay, 2Q is going to be a disaster, and it's already factored.
So that's a write-off.
So that's 2Q is already like blindfolded darts what it's going to be. 3Q. So you basically have to look and be like, okay, the next 3 to 6 months, I wouldn't call them a wash, but basically the street's going to look through, okay, what do numbers look like, run rate, if these tariffs get to some sort of baseline, Q4 2026. So you basically go back to the playbook that we've used in COVID in those early days, March, June, in terms of COVID playbooks, looking out, normalize, assuming that this in some way gets negotiated. But it comes down to, if these tariffs stay, all bets off, because it changes the whole paradigm.
Do you expect, though, to see that kind of upside, the outperformance, anytime in the near future? Or are you basically saying that at this point, you're not getting that kind of capitulation? So if you have faith over the next 10 years, fabulous, you might get a good entry point. But otherwise, not really worth getting in.
Look, in the near term, a lot of it, unfortunately, it's based on what we see with negotiations. If they happen, what happens with China? TikTok, is that one of the first chips on the table?
TikTok.
The reality is that the growth story, in terms of where we see tech over the next, call it 9, 12, 18, 24, that doesn't change here. But the reality is that if this continues, the longer it stays, once the snowball starts going downhill, you can't stop it.
Elon Musk, I want to just talk to you.
So he's saying that in the short term, he kind of danced around the question a little bit, I think. Leave a comment if you think so or not. But short term, where it's kind of 3 to 6 months, right? Whatever he was saying, 3, 6, 9, 12 months. It's kind of, already bad, right? But for the long term, he's still got to outperform.
A little bit about Tesla and what we've seen over the past few weeks. We have heard from President Trump yesterday that he expects and he would like Elon Musk to stay on with the Doge effort for a prolonged period of time, but that he will be going back to his company maybe in a period of months. Does that help insulate Tesla, or is Tesla uniquely vulnerable because of Elon Musk's relationship with this administration?
Every day Musk stays at Doge and the government, it's another day that there's more brand destruction for Tesla. And that's just a reality. Tesla's become a political symbol. So what we've talked about is that Musk, in our view, really has no choice. He has to take a step back to CEO of Tesla. Because look at the 1Q delivery numbers. Look at, just even if you look from brand issues, that crisis continues. I think the long-term sort of view and the long-term brand of Tesla changes.
Tesla's not doing so hot. I'll do a video about that.
And that continues to be, how we view it. It's a fork in the road. It's a moment of truth for Musk. He needs to make the right decision as a fiduciary and CEO of Tesla.
Got another cut to estimates this morning, this time from JP Morgan.
Leave a comment below if you think Musk should stay in Doge or he should go back to his companies.
On Tesla, first quarter vehicle sales were far below even their estimates and, quote, confirmed the unprecedented brand damage we had earlier feared.
And we saw these anecdotes about European sales. We saw anecdotes about Canada. This is coming to pass at a time when he is expected to go back, but it's unclear whether that can really revive a brand, especially at a time of increasing competition from China. And that, I think, is Dan Ives' other point that I think is really
Dan, just before you go.
Yeah, his competition from China is BYD. I mean, they are whooping up on him. If y'all haven't seen that, look up BYD, Build Your Dreams cars from China. They look nice and they're outselling Tesla around the world.
On China and TikTok, I saw you smiling as Lisa and I were talking about the potential deal. Who are they negotiating with?
Themselves. Look, it just comes down to okay, is it Oracle, Ellison, PE? Look, my whole view there is that it's a chip on the table. ByteDance keeps the algorithm. There's some sort of combination, in terms of who ultimately sells it. But I just view it as part of a broader negotiation. But again, if I'm negotiating with myself in my room, what does that do? It comes down to what does Beijing say?
Yeah, on that whole TikTok thing, we can say, hey, yeah, who wants to buy it? But what he's saying is ultimately it comes down to what does Beijing say, because they own it, right? It doesn't matter what we say, right? It's what they say and what they're willing to, if they're even, they're not even willing to sell. But anyways. All right, so tech stocks, let's talk about it. You still buying, you holding, you looking for a good entry point, you selling everything? Leave me a comment below on your strategy, right? So long term, America is still the biggest tech out there. Of course, China's on the heels and stuff. They're coming up. But do you think that the tariffs are a good thing or a bad thing for the tech industry? Obviously, so far it's been terrible, but let me know your thoughts. Anyways, leave a comment. Hit the like button if you like this kind of stuff. Subscribe to the channel because I got more stuff coming just like this, and share this with someone who's interested in technology stocks and technology in general and America, right? And how it affects us as Americans, right? Thanks so much for watching. Really appreciate y'all. And make sure you watch one of these videos here because we'll be talking about another thing that's interesting. See you there.